Good evening, guys, and welcome to another Flynncast Friday. My name is Flynn, and as always, I am your host, and today is one of those special podcast streams. First and foremost, let's make sure you guys can hear me loud and clear. Gonna do a quick sound test check, 1 2 1 2. I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear, and I hope that the background music is not too loud. Today, we are going to be talking about the latest patch that dropped. That includes the lovely Hilda, that includes the story, and obviously we're going to be talking about the loveliest addition to our game, which is our lovely techno magic gear. Sounds great. Glad to see so many of you in chat. Today I will be joined by 3 guests, which I will allow them to introduce themselves in a quick minute. Guests, make sure, my guest speakers, make sure you guys have the stream muted so you don't get confused by the stream delay. I will be hopping in the next few seconds, just making sure that everything is prepped and good to go, and have my agenda pulled up because we're about to get started. Good evening, my lovely guests. I hope you guys are excited and you guys are in for a treat today.
Oh, hello, Flynn. Thanks for having us.
Oh, glad to have you guys. As always, I will go ahead and have you guys start off with some quick introductions. We'll go right from the top. Give us your name, your server, and your favorite hero. Let's go with you,
Earl. I'm Big Earl. I'm mostly PvE guy, focused on World Boss on NA, and favorite heroes in that.
Alright, Trillo?
Hey everyone, I'm Trilobite, and I'm from the NA server, and my favorite hero is Dakaris.
There you go. And finally, fellow creator, Val?
Hey everyone, I'm Val from the NA server, ex-whale, I guess you could say, and now casual player, and my favorite hero is Frey.
Alright. So, to everybody currently in chat who's joining us, you guys, we do have a big agenda planned for you guys, and feel free to get on the discussions. We obviously, a lot of us will probably reply to what you're saying. Some of us may have more thoughts on certain topics, and some of us may choose to just simply gloss over the topics. It just depends on what tickles us fancy. But we are ready to get started, and I'll be happy to get us started with Hilda PvP. So, Earl, I know you are big on the PvE side, so far, what are your thoughts have been on Hilda and her PvP aspect?
I haven't seen much of her. I know one NA challenger level player that does have a pretty solid Hilda. She has some usage, but I don't think she's on par with most of the meta. So, and most of the time it's just press skill 2 and watch her auto attack, which is kind of a pega in my opinion.
Well, how about Trillo? How about yourself?
Hey, yeah, so I'm a pretty big PvP guy. That's like my main focus in the game right now, and I think on release, everyone was like super hyped about her PvP performance, but like Earl said, it ended up kind of being muddled down when, I have a good friend, Klep, who tested Hilda on release, and so far, she kind of does seem kind of like a chase, where a lot of her focus is on frontline pressure. I think a lot of people really pick on her weakness, so she doesn't really do much to the backline currently. But I think in like a long, drawn-out battle, where it's a lot of melees versus melee, she can do really well.
All right. And Val, how about yourself? I know you've had a few things to say about our lovely Hilda.
Well, in PvP, I haven't done too much with her, because I've only started raising her recently, so I kind of want to have like a personal kind of experience with it. But from what I have seen, she doesn't seem completely meta-changing as people really thought she would be because of the ignore block, the high pen, that kind of thing. As Trillo said, she really doesn't have any backline pressure, which is kind of big nowadays. But I think she does have like potential to be decent, but obviously she's just not going to be a top pick anytime soon at least.
Well, obviously, I also tested a little bit of Hilda myself. I got her to a 1 plus 10, and I was super on the fence about taking her all the way to A2 plus 20. I obviously hosted a stream pretty much just for Hilda. I had a lot of fun. I found her to be really, really fun. I did find her to be incredibly average, which is not a bad thing. I found her to be incredibly average. But I do like Hilda, and I do think her kit is really versatile. I think right now the current meta that we have in PvP is really, really bad for her, because it circles around mana block and mana burn, and nothing like taking in a mana reliant hero into that kind of an aspect. So certainly thrilling. All right. Well, I mean, not much to say on her PvP aspect, I guess, from all of us. Besides, yep, she's pretty average. What about her PvE performance? Earl, have you heard anything? Have you gotten the chance to test?
I haven't personally tested her. I'm not really interested in building her, to be honest. As far as like from a world boss perspective, obviously her main test would be World Boss 1. World Boss 3, her skills didn't hit the crystals, so she's just not going to excel in there at all. I know some players have raised her and used her for Earth Trial. I've seen some screenshots of like Earth 8 where she went almost nearly to timer at 10 star, and I believe it might have been A1 or A2. But I mean, it's like she was meant, like with all the pen and stuff like that, and Nor block, you would think she would excel there. But it's kind of disappointing to see that she just doesn't completely just dump on that content. So
you feel? Do you think she feels clunky? If you had a glaring issue, what would you point that glaring issue to be?
I mean, they kind of messed up her kit slightly, because her skill 2, once she goes in it, obviously, so long as she can't use other skills. But then again, obviously her skill 4, if I recall correctly, you just let that stack up, and you can also inflict stacks onto the boss. And then I think skill 3 does damage relative to the amount of stacks that an enemy would have. Yet her skill 2 is, auto attack central until she runs out of mana. So it's just it's a strange setup, in my opinion, for that type of character.
All right. Trillo, how about yourself?
Yeah, something I forgot to mention, it was kind of a weird decision choice to make such an integral part of her kit, her S4 Dispellable. Maybe it was for balance reasons, but I know that kind of hurt her in PvP content, and also some certain PvE content, like Shakmei. But I think another issue, well, actually maybe there's another balance thing too, is that, like Earl said, you can't really use skills in her S2, which I think is odd, because the point of her S2 is kind of to stack up these void stacks. And I actually did the calculations with a friend of mine, and her S3 nuke is one of the largest in the game, if you have like 40 void stacks and a 5-star UT3. But I guess they designed it in a way where you can't just put 40 void stacks, S3, Audi S3, and then Hilda S3. I mean, that would be really, really strong, but you just can't, and that really dims her down. Maybe that's for balance reasons, I don't know. But yeah, that kind of like holds her back. But she has potential.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of us are still on the she has potential train. I think one of the things that really hurt Hilda at the given moment is she dropped just before there was a change in gear as well, which we'll definitely get to a little bit later. So one of the things that hampered a lot of the testing, which I believe is not a lot of people got the chance to kind of build her a custom set or set up kind of like a manti for her, because she released and then 2 weeks later we had the big drop in brand new gear, and now instead of people focusing on maybe customizing some things for Hilda, we're sitting here farming new gear for our current heroes. Vel, what about yourself? What do you think of her PvE potential?
I mean, as the other guys have said, it feels a little like weird, I guess, because like, yeah, the main point of her S2 is to stack up these void stacks, but then you kind of have to leave it and then S3, which is, it just feels so counterintuitive for some reason. I don't really know why they would do that. I mean, like, as Trillo said, it's probably for balance reasons, like, probably is to, like, keep things in check. But the way she's performing right now, I'm not really sure if that's an issue anymore. But yeah, at the moment, it's pretty clear that they wanted to make her for the Siegfried raid that's in the new Techno Magic thing. But I don't know. I haven't seen anyone really testing her there, and I don't think she's performing as well as other heroes can potentially. So, in the end of the day, she does seem just like very mediocre, I guess.
Well, while I go ahead and ask for chat to go ahead and give us their input on Hilda, I'll give my 2 cents. I do think Hilda has some major PvE potential. Again, one of the things I believe that really hurt her was the fact that we suddenly had a big shift in gear, and that's kind of hampered a lot of chance to kind of get her a proper set built. But I think one of the really cool aspects of her is that she can obviously ignore block, and she, like Trillo mentioned, she has a really big nuke on that S3. I think a lot of the PvPers really jumped to UT2, so people who went for the PvP potential went for UT2. I do see the potential in UT3, especially in the PvE side of things. I do think that there's a certain clunkiness to her, especially the fact that if she enters her actual S2, she is literally barred from using all other skills except her passive, which procs based on obviously max mana. So I kind of hope maybe there's some kind of adjustment to that one, maybe allowed to use certain skills. I don't know. That's honestly my 2 cents. And I'm looking at Chen. I guess maybe not a lot of them have too much to say. She's like Crow, but maybe worse. Hilda's unique, but they dropped chapter 10 too early. Yeah, I think that definitely hurt her in that particular aspect. I did get to take her into Earth 8, and she was able to perform fairly well in Earth 8, but at this point right now, with everybody kind of caught up with A2 supports and A2 DPS, Earth 8 is, to be honest, right now kind of like a shrug. And now with level 100, it's a mute issue, in my honest opinion. But, I mean, you guys have any closing comments on Hilda?
Yeah, I'm hoping for a rework on it, to be honest with you.
A rework.
Yeah.
She's balanced. That's it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Jay. She's just average. She's balanced, which is definitely a welcome thing here. Lincoln says I could clear Hilda with 350k at 7, so I was satisfied. I mean, yeah, she's good. And some people are screaming buffs already. So. Well, with the fact that audience has no comments on Hilda, let's go ahead and move on to the next section of our podcast, which is actually story, which I also anticipate us to kind of just breeze right through. Before I talk about my potential comments, and for everybody in chat, there is the potential for spoilers, so be warned, there's potential spoilers here. I cannot control anything, but we'll go ahead and get started. So, Earl, have you been following story, and what did you think of chapter 10?
Yeah, I followed the story. I read it and everything like that. A lot of feels. I'm kind of mixed feeling on how Klaus handled things, especially going into chapter 10. So I'm pretty stoked and looking forward to the second half.
Okay. Trillo, how about yourself? I know you were awake on patch day, because we were all in the Discord. Like, yeah. So, what do you think?
Oh man, yeah. I'm the type of guy when there's a really big patch, I really like to stay up late for it. I even stayed up later past the extended maintenance. But yeah, I was super stoked to just get through chapter 10. And surprisingly, as much as I wanted to do the new raids right away, I really liked the story this time. It's weird because I played KR since we were farming for Ancient Gear in chapter 6, but I think the story just got really good. I think there's actually, I want to say there's honestly almost nothing going on until chapter 7, and then chapter 8, 9, and 10 just hit like bricks for some reason, and I actually really like it. Trying to avoid spoilers because I do want people to experience this in a way, but I guess Flynn did warn everyone about potential spoilers. But yeah, it was just I've always thought something super interesting about the game was that Theo and Crow had a really good sub stories. So knowing that these sub stories are going to actually have a main role in the main story now, I think that's great. Especially because there's so much time and love put into those stories a long time ago. So it's great that they're all coming together now.
Well, before I jump in with my particular comments, Val, I know you and I are extremely tied close to story, thanks to being a castle and frame main, respectively. What are your thoughts on chapter 10?
Alright, well, I had a lot of feels. Again, I get very emotional at times. This one definitely hit pretty hard. Not as hard as the Fallen Fate update and that that kind of sub story, but yeah, this one definitely hit me pretty hard with Hilda and Crow and Claws and all that. It's definitely started to make me question what side I am on after the whole goddesses thing, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what they've got planned next, because they've obviously already teased Theo has a role in it.
Yep.
He hasn't showed up yet, but that'll be in the second half presumably. But yeah, this is definitely getting very exciting.
Well, story has always hit me pretty hard because obviously I've been a Castle main for ever since I started this game. Never once wavered, never once changed, and even when our boy Dark Lord Castle released, through and through, I remained a Castle main. Hence why I have both, but I still tell everybody above and beyond that Castle is my boy, and I will do everything for him. Story hit me incredibly hard, and I know I give, excuse my language, I give Claus a lot of shit for being a horrible older brother. I kind of feel that he was, in Chapter 10, kind of just forced into it, because up until Chapter 9, you never really got to see too much of Claus. And anytime you did, it was just like, oh, I'm a knight of Orvela, I'm gonna go help the Orvelan citizens. And then suddenly Chapter 10 hits, and suddenly he's this emotional and incredibly heartbroken older brother. Which, it could be right well in his character, but the issue is we never saw it up until that point, so I was kind of put off by it. And then obviously, all the way at the end of Chapter 10, suddenly he goes edgelord on us. And suddenly, well, he has a class change. Suddenly he wants to be like Castle and becomes a warrior.
Yeah, that class change caught me off guard a little bit. But I'm pretty stoked for him, though, hoping he's playable.
I think a lot of us are kind of in that very same boat, but at the same exact time, it's just like, dang. Are they going to start doing this with all the characters? Start giving them felon or changed forms? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That was my own opinion. Either way, I mean, I did enjoy Chapter 10. Chapter 10 hit me a little hard, but I do love everything there is to love about story. Again, there are a lot of plot inconsistencies, but otherwise, from that, I do adore story, especially because, and I don't mind the current main character focus shift, because it's actually, I'm assuming it's building a lot of lore and background to probably how they're going to approach Dark Lord Castle and Fallen Frey, especially in the form of our boy Claus. So he is kind of expressed how much he loves Castle and Frey, and he wants to try to save them, so we'll see kind of how that approaches. I'm actually super stoked to see how Theo and Epis and Jane are going to get involved with the next portion of the story. I actually don't know how they're going to tie it in, but apparently the Technomagic Kingdom and the Grey Republic are descendants, the Grey Republic being a descendant of the Technomagic Kingdom, so that's probably how they're going to kind of put that one in there. But Earl, what do you think about part 2 of the story?
I mean, it's the world's their oyster. They can run with it in a lot of ways, I feel. So, but yeah, like you were saying, I am interested in how they're gonna tie Theo into it. I raised Theo like as my main DPS when I first started, so I definitely had a lot of interest in him going out. But can only just look forward to it and speculate.
Okay, all right. Trilla, what about part 2 of the story? What do you think?
I'm super excited to see the encounter between, I believe in the cutscene, it's Theo encountering Hilda over that the incubator thing.
Yeah.
And I think Theo is actually one of my first characters I built up when I started as well. I think he was like super strong world boss back then. Sadly, he's on my bench as a 10-star right now, but also really recently started building Ezekiel, but I'm not sure if Ezekiel's still with Theo in the story currently. But yeah, it'll be super cool to see like side characters start being involved in the main story, which I think that's what I really liked about how Chapter 10 was written. So far though, I'm actually wondering what's going to happen with characters like Hilda though. Is she just gonna keep staying by the incubator like forever? Yeah, I mean those are my current thoughts. It's again like Earl said, they can do a lot from here, and I'm just excited to see what they're going to do from here.
Okay. Val, what about yourself?
I'm not really one for speculation on story and kind of stuff, but I'm just excited to see like what they can do with Theo and all the extra gang there. I'm just glad that they're adding like more side heroes to this main story, because like that's kind of an issue with some games. They like create these characters, but then they just have no story relevance at all. So it's great to see this kind of thing.
Even though it's probably not going to be part of the second part of Chapter 10, one of the things I am definitely looking forward to is seeing how the 5 great demons are going to gather up around DLK. That really kind of piqued my interest, but that's probably not going to be for Chapter 10.2, I guess, if you want to call it, or 10. I am going through chat real quick, and a lot of you guys are saying that Claus is hot, and you guys are simping for Claus, and you guys, I love and hate you for that. Again, I have a love-hate relationship with Claus right now, but we'll see how the rest of that goes. Well, I mean, looks like really. So far we know of Lucicula and Grimori, so that's 2 of 5. Yeah, we know 2 of the great demons. So we'll see how it goes. There's definitely a lot. He can punish me, Lunite, please. Oh my god. Okay, well, the moment everybody has been waiting for, and the elephant in the room per se. I would just like to make some quick comments. Let's go ahead, keep it clean and professional. Not that we're not going to do that anyways, but it's just, I understand that a lot of us are frustrated over the system, and some of us may get heated over it. I know quite a bit of us, including myself, has really not been enjoying the system. But we'll go ahead and we'll kind of just take it one step at a time. Let's go ahead and start with you, Earl. What do you think of our lovely Techno Magic gear system?
I mean, there's plenty of places where I could start. I mean, I guess just mainly on for world boss per se, you know, or just any like boss content. The fact that Manticore now is potentially outclassed, which more than likely it is outclassed, that is troublesome. And also the fact that, you know, in the special shop they drop a Manticore pack, you know, where you can get perfect Manticore nearly perfect Manticore selector tickets on top of the new gear dropping. Kind of a sketch move in my opinion, but I don't know. The new gear can provide a lot more optimization and team variety, but I don't know. I just feel it could have been handled slightly better in my opinion.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna go to Vale first because Trillo, I know you have a lot to say, and I'd rather give you the floor because we all know a lot of us are quite aware of your feelings on Techno Magic, and a lot of us took it to Plug to help support you in that endeavor because a lot of us do feel the same exact way. But I will let Vale put his 2 cents in first, and then we're gonna go ahead and give you the floor. So Vale, go for it. What do you think?
All right. So at the moment, the system is very, 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 very clunky, I guess. There's a lot that needs to be addressed. Mostly the fact that gear drop rates are abysmal, materials, it takes too many just to do anything with the gear that you actually do get. The raids are at least interesting, I guess. Like, you can do a lot with the raids, I feel like. That's probably the most fun thing about this Techno Magic gear. It's just like the different things you can do with the raids, the kind of uniqueness of it. But after that, it's just, I don't know. like we are saying it is better than Manticore, but that's only really at a certain level where you have like near perfect additional stats and stuff. So for the next couple of months or weeks, I want to say, I don't know how fast the big whales are really trucking through Techno Magic gear, but yeah, it's still going to be a while before Manti gets fully outclassed, I feel. PvP, I can't really say much about that, but yeah, I just feel like the materials at the very least are you need way too many just to do anything with it, and then the gear drop rates abysmal, completely abysmal.
Okay, well, Trilla, the floor is yours.
Oh, thanks, man. I guess I just want to start by saying I kind of did make a plug rant post about this, and I'm a pretty shy guy, and I was kind of scared of getting shredded, but I've actually received so much like overwhelming support for how I feel about the system. So I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and liked it. It's like the plug post near like 3,000 views, so I know like a lot of people have been, like spreading it around. I think so. I guess I think my place in the community right now is that I'm a really big PvP guy, but I can still clear most PvE content, and I'm a huge theory crafter. So I remember we got the patch notes for Techno Magic gear, and I was just extremely excited. We were just talking about builds in the guild Discord and this PvP Discord I'm in, and we were just talking about like dumb builds that could work, like reducing cooldown on Balduin S3 and Zera S3. And then, so like I said, I stayed up late for the patch to come out, and I've been testing the new raids, and it's been kind of a hard for me because I think I'm just gonna run through like the issues I've encountered that I know a lot of people aren't at this stage yet, so maybe they haven't seen like how it really is. But I think one glaring issue is the huge stamina cost, going from 100 to 150 stamina per raid, which is fine. You know, this is end game gear after all. But then on top of that, it's crazy low drop rates. So I'll be honest, for the last 3 days, I've just been dispatching Galgoria 4. And so I've opened around 1,000 boxes of Galgoria 4 and have gotten 41 pieces so far of random gear that I have to identify. So at this point, I'm pretty convinced it's around 5% drop rate, but it's not statistically significant enough yet to confirm that, but I want to say it's around 5%. And then I use the boss crystals to craft random gear, because you just need to brute force it, I guess. And so once you have a piece of gear and you identify it, not only is it class specific, there's gear skills, and that's a separate rant as well, because they're extremely specific in a good way, because I think that's the gear skills are what I was extremely excited for, because the level of customization that you can have to your hero now is probably the highest it's ever been in King's Raid. But that's the other problem, is that there's 53 of them, and some are just I'm not sure how they've tested these against the others, but it's kind of clear that some of the gear skills are just way better than the other ones. For example, people have done the calculations that the increased damage by 3% every 15 seconds, that stacks up to 12 times, or increased damage by 25% at HP above 95%. They just are so much more overwhelmingly better than the other offensive PvE options that everyone's just kind of chasing 2 of those 53 gear skills, which is adding to the frustration. And so because boss crystals are also part of the reforging process, you can't even really experiment with these new gears, because let's say you got an orb that gives you plus 25% attack, which is a great, like even comparing the T8 gear, that's a nice upgrade, but you can't even really, it's hard to even invest in it when you need to reforge the options first, which takes up boss crystals, which could make more materials.
Yeah.
And so everyone just kind of waiting until they get the perfect pieces before they even invest in them, because that doesn't even get started with the awakening costs, which takes like hundreds of mats. And then if it's not reclaimed, oh man, I pray for you, because you got a 5-star and then reclaim it and then 5-star it again, which is a lot of mats again. So those were my issues with the raid. I'm sorry I was long-winded out, but I'm finding a lot of issues because like what once really excited me for the insane amount of customization for gear and the new endgame raids, which I've loved, by the way, because it's been super fun just soloing Galg. I was duoing Galg 5 with other people. Shout out to Teji, because we were like just kicking ass in Ascalon 4, and we were really close to Ascalon 5. We're missing an AoE hero. So what usually happens is Kurze kills the front mobs, and my Cabrera kills the back mobs, and Zera kind of kills everyone in between. But it's been... So the raids themselves are really well designed, and I really like how they're like making these niche heroes like really strong again, like Mora, for example, or Evan for the Siegfried raid, for example. But I think the gear system itself, it needs another looking at, because it's kind of been a source of frustration for me and a lot of the player base currently. But I understand this is endgame gear, so I maybe it was designed with that intention, because currently as a PvP player, this is a straight upgrade. I believe Raven and I have calculated the PvE side, and it's around like 1.3 times better than Manticore if you get all the correct gear skills. But for PvP side, this gear is basically mandatory for PvP players. If for the people unaware about the PvP meta right now, in top 10 LOV and almost all of top 100 Challenger League of Honor, everyone is running Bruiser. It's just the most consistent and powerful deck right now. Of course, there's a lot of burst and a few wall, but it's mostly Bruiser that's dominating at the top. And because of how Bruiser works, where they really want to improve just the higher base stats alone from TM gear and Reclaim TM gear, basically makes Technomagic gear mandatory to farm for. And the farming process is extremely difficult right now, and I hope they look into the rates, because I don't think a 5% drop rate that consumes 150 stamina is honestly acceptable. But we'll see. Overall, though, I'm excited to see what heroes come out and new builds. Like I got an orb for Zera that reduces her S3 cooldown by 10% every 10 seconds. I'm pretty excited to try that out once I get the full set, but I'm waiting to get the full set despite dispatching so much stamina for them. So sorry about my rant. But,
no, you're fine. And one of the cool things that you said way earlier, and I'm not talking about this particular stream, this is back when we were all kind of getting into Technomagic gear and trying to test things out. One of the things that you said that really hit home with me is it's okay if you have high RNG factors in the gear, allow it to drop. The issue is, and this is where my rant comes in, it is a horrible drop rate on the gear, and it has a high RNG factor, and I think it was closer to 58 additional skills, with only probably like 10 of them being actually decent and usable. So I found that to be incredibly flawed, and there is an expensive stamina cost just to actually farm this gear. And one of my biggest frustrations, and this one is the one that eats at me a lot, is the fact that you are limited to only 2 stat lines, and to reforge those stat lines, you actually need crafting materials. So while I let chat and I let go ahead and get their thoughts out, and I will also catch up and I will try to get through chat, because I know we've kind of a lot of people really want to get their thoughts out on this particular one. One of the things that really also incredibly frustrated me is the fact that there are 2 tiers to this gear. So not only imagine literally going T8 and T9, and then there's T10. The reclaimed portion of this tier may not be necessarily like as high as like a whole tier gap. It's still significant enough to make a big difference. I'm not a big fan of the fact that reclaimed gear is, if you don't get it or you don't craft it, you're time gated from actually progressing your normal gear to reclaimed gear. And I believe, and guys correct me if I'm wrong, it was limited to 10 a week by completing a mission, and you need 40 of them.
Yep, so you get 1 upgrade to reclaimed once a month.
1 upgrade to reclaimed a month. I like the new raids. I will back you up. I actually find the new raids incredibly enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of irks me that you are limited to 1 per class. I'm a person who truly enjoys warrior, and now kind of being forced to pick a warrior. And even though it hasn't really been too apparent, we all know a lot of people will end up taking like a support warrior like a Priscilla or something to increase damage, or so you won't be able to use your traditional DPS warrior, in my honest opinion. I did get the opportunity to run with Kempha / Shinx and Lunite on a Gelgora 6, and I got to bring in my DLK for funsies. I had a lot of fun, but that's because they were a magic comp and they had some really amazing supports. But it's just like most of the time, the warrior role is going to end up getting filled by a support. So it's just like, it is what it is on that particular aspect. And then also one of the things that frustrated me was the crafting cost for this gear. If you want class or gear specific, you have to churn out some actually very high crafting costs in terms of the materials. I can understand gold being a sink. I think a lot of us have now gotten over the gold sink because of Aethers. We kind of expect everything to just cost on arm and a leg and half your soul. But yeah, I mean, that's just how Aether feels, is it costs an arm and a leg and half your soul in terms of gold. So at this point, it's just like, okay, it's another gold sink, but the issue is also the crafting material sink in there. And in terms of chat, I like say, he's like, Talisha went from unusable to mandatory in these raids, Pepega. Amber Tija says, I lack the support assassin and archer options, which makes the new raids fairly flawed. It really does require you to have a... Here's the big aspect is, I think they introduced these raids so that you can party play with other players, so that you don't have to cover all the bases yourself. Other players can bring in some heroes to cover the bases. But the issue is there's absolutely no reward to party play right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's an actual reward to party play, is there?
I don't believe so, no. There is no incentive, like, increased rates or increased drop rates, more coins, I don't believe, like dragon raids are, which is surprising, like, substantially surprising.
Yeah, I'll be honest, with most of the endgame community right now, most of us, out of convenience, are just kind of just soloing these raids, unless you don't have the heroes for them, because yeah, your emulator can crash and it'll slow down your farming.
Yeah, literally, Bravo just said that in chat. I was like, yeah, and right now, I think there's not many people right now who are having proper emulators to run the app. Everybody's crashing. Even I'm crashing. And I'll be honest, I take pride in a decked out computer, but even this decked out computer can't run this game without crashing.
Yeah, the new APK, I crashed substantially more than I did with an older version of it, so...
You lose more hair with the party DCs. Yeah, I can understand that. So a lot of people just prefer to dispatch, especially if it's within the right. Val, I talked about the class restriction. I know you're a person who's definitely been hit hard by the class restriction. What are your thoughts on
that? Yeah, it definitely hurts a lot of people, especially for soloing, because, you know, especially the casual player base, you know, like, we basically just build who we want, and most of the time people will build one specific class. Like, I know a lot of people who really love assassins, people who really love mechs, so they only build that kind of class. But then this new content really hits hard because we don't have the other heroes to kind of do fill those other roles, which really sucks. Yeah.
The raids are fun, and that's one thing I'd love to continue to reiterate, is I'm actually having a lot of fun with the raids, though I think they got gated a little too hard. And the upper raids, which I understand, I guess, needing to be locked behind certain mechs, but I think you requiring an A220 support is a little too much. One of the things I've been preaching, and you guys, if you have an opposing opinion to this, you're more than welcome to say it. My honest opinion is always, if you have progression content, your progression content should not be very difficult to the point that you're being gated by it. You should, like, for example, in this particular cases, I don't think it should be this difficult to farm Techno Magic Gear. Where the difficulty and the challenge should come in is when you create content centered around the gear. Like, for example, we have a step up into Trials, or we have a step up in Shakma, or we just get new content in general that is designed around the fact that you have heroes in Techno Magic Gear. But the fact of farming Techno Magic Gear yourself should not be this difficult, because it's just natural progression. And I mean, if you guys would like to, comment on that, but you're more than welcome to.
I agree with that. I think, honestly, it's just the fact that the drop rate is so substantially low, even on, stage 5, stage 6, if you can solo it, then more props to you. It just has no intrinsic value. It's like, I've dispatched and played enough levels on, like, stage 1, and I could just be sheer luck, but I've gotten more drops than from, like, stage 5, after X amount of runs. So, it just could have been handled slightly better, I feel.
Yeah, I just want to chime in with the difficulty spikes. So, like I said before, I farm a Galgoria 4 currently, and I think one of the weird spikes is that you can only get reclaimed gear on stage 5 and up, which is fine because that's basically the new T10 gear. It's supposed to be very strong and hard to farm, but it's a weird double spike that they do, similar to the Trials, where they introduce a new mechanic where you have to play one of each new class, and then there's also a 1.5 times HP and damage increase you have to meet.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, I don't think it would be so bad if they kind of lifted the class restriction. I think being locked to one priest, locked to one warrior, locked to one knight, I think that really people who don't have one of everything are truly screwed, which is why the party play comes in. But the issue right now is you can't party play reliably because of obviously app issues and crashing, and there's no increased reward for making the time to actually party play with someone. And I'd like to also make the comment, and this has made me chuckle, I think Vespa got into this thought process that this is like an MMO game. I understand King's Raid has RPG elements, and it is more of an RPG, but at the end of the day, you're also a gacha mobile game. You're not an MMO. And you're akin to having a grind as bad as an MMO right now.
I have to hard agree with that. I think not a flex, but I think one thing I actually love about this current gear system was that Taylor's getting really popular now in League of Honor, but I actually have never built an HP DPS in my life. So I actually opened up 200 boxes of 923, grinded all the pieces I didn't need or that weren't good, and then used the 2 selectors they gave us and a selector I got from grinding all that gear, and I had like a really good Taily set in like a night of overnight farming, which I think was great. And maybe that's too easy. Maybe it's like a paradigm shift where they like Despa thought that the current way of gearing was way too easy or something, so they kind of released like this new end game content to like farm for. But I'm sure there's some degree of difference between that they can like, or they can find a smooth spot between having gear that you can like build in a week versus gear that takes literal months to like find. There has to be something in between that.
And one of the things I wanted to comment is, to be honest, it's not that I hate Techno Magic Gear, because on the contrary, I don't hate Techno Magic Gear. I kind of just hate the system and the way it was implemented. I think Techno Magic Gear is really cool in the fact that you can have truly unique builds on heroes, and it lets you experiment and do cool things. Some of the stuff, and I don't think any of us have actually touched up on it, is broken in terms of certain skills that stack. And I think one of the things that the PvPers themselves have been like literally mauling over is if somebody was able to get the 200 dodge and 3% heal every 3 seconds
man,
and stack it 4 times, because that would give whoever hero you put that on essentially 800 free dodge and a 12% heal every 3 seconds. And the only way to counter that is if you decide to build full accuracy, run a bracelet, or you have always hit heroes. But even above and beyond that, you're always going to have a hero who's probably going to end up missing, and that character is going to end up healing. So that truly made me laugh, and I can see the issue in that being actually broken. And yes, Mog, they do stack. But what do you guys think about the stacking aspect of the skills? I know there's some that are broken, some that are underwhelming, but let's touch up also on that, because I think that really needs to be brought out to light.
I mean, the fact that some of them are stacking, like, let's just say like the damage increase one. I think it also has attack increase as well.
There is.
Over time, it takes about 2.5 to 3 minutes for it to fully stack, and that's when, maybe a little before that, that's when it outclasses Manticore. So for short fights, obviously you're not going to want to run that. For long fights such as like World Boss, it has potential to give better scoring and DPS output, but it also in the downgrade has balance in the fact that for nearly half the fight, you're not going to be scoring at the DPS thresholds as you would with Manticore, at least on your DPS. Now, if you had like fully decked out proper supports, I mean, it can add all kinds of variables to it. But then again, there's also the side where, freaking all that dodge and free HP regen, simply from gear. Like that right there, in my mind, I'm not a PvPer, but I can definitely see where that brings up a lot of concern for PvP mains at how potentially broken that is. So it's some of them are balanced and some of them are just completely out of the wall in my mind.
Trillo, how about yourself? I know you've also expressed some concerns about the stack, and I know you're a person who loves the intricacies of the damage and math, and this is one of the topics that I know you incredibly enjoy. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I want to say that if these gear skills didn't stack, I want to just call them boring. I think the fact that they can stack increases the level of customization of King's Raid.
Definitely.
Like I said, for like since the beginning. But I think one issue that they sorry, that was on the background.
That's okay.
I think one issue that they have with stacking gear skills is that some gear skills are just a lot stronger than others, and that's like an understatement. Like, for example, the 50% crit damage attack buff. Well, that's like, wow. I mean, before that would have been great, but you can do 36% more damage. And I'm like, wait, what?
What?
And I've actually tested a lot with a lot of the PvEers from Chaos and Project Time about how these gear skills interact, and some of them are incredibly powerful. Like, I actually have this Theorycraft build where Ezekiel can take 2 of the ignored defense plus 25% and 2 of the normal attacks plus 25%, and just like mow people down basically. Oh, I get. Yeah, I think that Shinx has a good point where he does mention because it does stack, it reduces customization. Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'm thinking more about like insane builds, where it's like you can stack 3 of the minus 10% CDR on like Bowden or something, so you can keep S3ing. And yeah, I think what's happening is that like some gear skills are like really a turnoff right now, especially for some reason plus 7 skill level. Maybe I don't know if they've tested it or if this is their intention, but it's incredibly weak. You get like a 3% or 2% damage increase for just that skill, which I thought was extremely weird.
If you get the chance, this is just for you to laugh. I want you to take the +7 skill level for Lightsoul and look at it for skill 3, just so that I can give you a good laugh at how incredibly horrible that particular skill is just on that one hero. I think that would make you. I think that'd make you laugh. I think that'd make your day.
Yeah, I'm like, it's weird how they scale. I think they tried to design it in a way where it like works on all heroes, but it kind of falls flat. I'm pretty sure that's what the skill level does, because there's so far there's only been one hero I can imagine liking the plus skill level gear. It's Taily on her S4, so it will give like I assume like 70 or 80k all def to all. That's pretty strong. But other than that, it's weird because, like you said, you mentioned Cassell S3 with the skill level increase, so I assume that gives him more attack, right?
That's the only thing it does.
Yeah, and that's super so weird.
Minuscule. I find it to be incredibly comical.
Yeah, that's a thing where it's like, okay, why don't you just get a gear line that says plus 25% attack instead of that one? It's what I mean. Exactly. There's strictly superior options with these once you do the math or like test it out, And
it's really funny because you bring that up where one of the additional skills is literally plus 25% attack or plus 250 pen or plus 250 crit.
Yep.
Literally, that is the equivalent of 2 skill lines. You end up losing still 1 skill line on that gear because you lost the enchant.
Yep. Another thing that Say brought up in the Twitch chat, which I really like because I'm a victim to this piece, there's a lot of super specific gear pieces that don't work for the class. In particular, I pulled a wizard piece that said like improve ignore defense by 25%, and I looked at the hero pool, and it's only Pavel's soul weapon that does that, and Ophelia's S1 combo. And I was like, that's extremely specific, and it's basically not a usable piece for most people, or at all. It's just not. It's better to just get more attack. And the other thing, what Say mentioned, is a plus 20% continuous damage. Yeah, I pulled that on Knights. And the only hero that has that is Mora, which has no damage scaling on her S4. So I kind of just grinded it. It's weird. It's like, because they have so many options that just kind of fall flat, that a lot of gear is not really usable.
Yeah. I understand, and to be honest, a lot of those skills also kind of make me laugh. Like, there's a damage increase for heroes that require max mana, but you got heroes like Burnham and DLK who you literally use no mana. Or another example is as Silicon, where he seals people with no mana, invalidating those 2 heroes as well. You can't even use them there because you just continuously get sealed. So
especially as a Burnham main, I feel that so hard.
I feel that. We got a PvE hero myself in the form of DLK, and I can't even use him in one of the PvP raids. Feels bad, man. Esker S1 UT1 burst tank down. Okay.
I guess that is another ignore defense. I'll test that out with my wizard robe that can improve my ignore defense damage.
If I recall correctly, it will only ignore defense when it lands on the same target.
Yep.
Oh.
So that's even more niche there.
Yeah. Oof.
I'm just quickly catching up on chat. Val, do you have any input about skill stacking?
Not really. I guess it's just the fact that all the skills, like, the pool is applied to every class, which I don't really feel like it should be, especially because, like, as people have said, some of these skills are just completely useless for some classes. Like, I got the increased ignore def damage on Priest, and I'm like, there's only 2 priests that can use this. Like, if you're gonna do that, may as well just make Fallen Fray ignore def with 1k pen, Like, may as well just do that at this point. But yeah, like, the pool needs to be reduced to, like, class specific if they're gonna have this big of a pool. Because, yeah, some of these skills are just completely useless on some classes, or they're just too limiting. Bravo. I'm not doing the S1 Leo nuke. All right.
Well, while I continue to kind of let chat go through their runs and their motions, and chat, you guys are also more than welcome to give your input on this next question. But I'll go down the list. Earl, if you could improve the Techno Magic Gear system, what would be your improvements to it?
Well, obviously, I'll point out the main aspects of drop rate. I mean, they like stage 5 and up. If you're able to solo it, you should be able to get, at least a decent drop rate like Dark Legion, I should say. That, in my opinion, is reasonable. Also incentivize more party play. Obviously, they're gonna have to stabilize the game, or with I don't know, be a new patch or it's a new update or whatever. But they need to stabilize the game, incentivize more party play to where, in my opinion, get like. Just like dragons, you get more coins. If you want to toss in gold, perhaps. I mean, that's a big toss-up on if Vespa wants to do that. We already have enough gold sinks, so in my opinion, it wouldn't hurt to add in more gold coming from this. And then obviously, if you do party up and you're able to clear stage 6, stage 5, stage 6, that would offer substantially more drop rates for it. And then obviously you get more resources to be able to awaken the gear and fully max potential it, because as it is right now, it is just takes way too long, and for your average player, there's no way they're gonna be able to be getting a maxed out reclaim piece anytime soon.
Anytime soon, yeah.
So.
It's very mat intensive, material intensive. Trillo, what about yourself? If you could right now improve the Techno Magic Gear system, what would be your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Earl hit it right on the head. I think I do like the customization of gear skills. So I don't think it's necessarily a problem to have so many gear skills as long as the drop rates and the crafting rates are in line. I kind of nuked 175 stamina, 175,000 stamina, and I don't really have a usable piece yet. Sorry, so yeah, just improve the low drop rates. And encourage party play. Yeah, because right now everyone's kind of just soloing, which is kind of sad.
There's no benefit to party.
And it's like, wait, this is a raid. Like, it's King's raid, not King's solo.
You know what? That was so cheesy, but it worked out so damn well. Well, Val, what about yourself?
Yeah, basically what the other guys have basically been saying. Just like drop rates need to be increased for gear, because that's just way too low. Material cost for reforging and crafting gear needs to either be changed, or they need to up how much you actually get, because 300 per reforge is ridiculous, especially when it costs like 2k to 4k just to craft a gear. And it's so bad. Like they tried to sell it by saying like, we reduced the pool of stats that you can get from reforging, but it doesn't help when it costs so much already. Yeah, add more incentive to party play. Like I do like partying up with people, at least in this game. I mean, it's kind of an online game for a reason. You want to be interacting with people, so encouraging more of that would be good. And yeah, I guess that's all I've got.
I mean, that's totally fair, and I'm also on board for I miss the old Dragon Farms where we used to multiplay. Don't get me wrong, I love Dispatch. I find it completely convenient. For a person with my kind of schedule where I'm literally always on the run or out and about, I find Dispatch like a godsend. But, I wouldn't mind, like, on a Friday or a Saturday or even a Sunday, to sit down and just party play with others for better gear, drop rates, whatever you want to call it. I think that's definitely one big improvement. You guys touched up on it a lot. The god dang drop rate. Can we get some love in here? Because I'm so tired of literally farming this endlessly and then getting no gear. And if I do get a piece of gear, it turns out to be absolute trash. I'm desperate to gear my warriors for both PvE and PvP, and I ain't going anywhere right now. So I
haven't seen a gear drop on stream yet. I've been watching in the background.
Yeah, you don't need to really remind me. I'm kind of like, and I'm only running stage 4 just because it's easy, it's quick, and it's simple, and I get to use both my castles, so I'm good with that. But I'm looking at chat, and one of them says, "Wait, is cocaine useless now?" Yes, Sassy, cocaine is useless now. It does not work on Techno Magic Gear. You need a reforge ticket, and you need reforge material. Which, by the way, one of the things I hope that they can improve the system is do away with that reforged material. What? I can understand wanting a reforged ticket, but leave the reforged mats out of this, man.
I mean, honestly, they could just. Another thing that, like, it's probably a minor gripe, but like, why would Techno Magic Gear require reforged ticket?
Like lore wise,
because like if the game is supposed to naturally progress to where you want to grind end game gear, why gate it with reforged ticket and obviously the materials? So they could, in my opinion, they could have potentially created like a new type of currency or something like that you get from farming this, not just dragon coins, or maybe you could update Jin's shop to where you could trade it for, I don't know, some special material that's specifically for reforging itself.
Yeah.
So it's
a lot of things
like,
can be done.
Yeah.
And
you could do books, cocaine, stuff like that.
Yeah, somebody was like, maybe trade in that. And for people, just in case, because I know there's probably people who may listen to this later on, the cocaine, guys, is the magic powder. So, as just to make sure everybody understands, it's not really cocaine, it's just magic powder. I know, because sometimes we do have newer players who come into the game and we reference it by a meme name like cocaine, and then we end up getting asked what the heck cocaine is, or it comes up as a YouTube comment during the exports. No, thanks, you don't want your drugs. But yes, I mean, you could also use the magic powder, aka cocaine, as a reforged material instead of literally costing us crafting mats for it. There could be so much that could be done in that particular aspect. Chat, I will go ahead and let you guys continue giving us your input on what could be done to improve the system. Do you guys have any final comments on this actual gear system or the raids or anything you'd like to say before we move to our last and probably a quick portion of the podcast?
I think I've hit the nail on the head and grabbed enough for the day.
Yep.
Trilla?
I think I've said most of what I wanted to
You've
say.
said your piece. You've said your piece.
Yep, said my piece.
Val?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty all good, yeah.
I think everybody, after finally ranting and raving about the TM set, I think a lot of us are kind of like at that particular stage. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to say that... Okay, I am going to say it. The system has demotivated me to actually continuously play. And I'm just hanging on... doing my best to just hang on to it, because my motivation to continue to play King's Raid with this TM gear and the difficulty it has been, it's just, I don't know, Trilla, you touched on it, and I'm trying to find the right words for it, and if you guys, I'm stumbling over my words, so I apologize for it, because I'm trying to find the right words without trying to sound so like negative about it. I've never willed on stamina before.
Yeah.
And I've recently found myself purchasing stamina packs. And I'm not talking about like the discounted stamina packs. I'm talking about like, I went into the special shop, I went into the stamina category, and I clicked the 130 pots for the $18, and I'm like, God, did I really get so far that I'm using stam pots at full price?
Yeah. I mean, like, the only, like, really good, like, the only, at least for me, at least, like, the past event they had to where you could farm red ether and stuff like that, like, I'll admit, I swiped some stamina packs, like, the base stamina packs, but stuff like that, in my opinion, is worth. But for, like, just for farming the next stage of gear, I don't feel that, even whales, moderate players, your average Joe should have to resort to that.
We should not resort to buying stamina like that. I can understand maybe that there's an event that rolls around that requires immense stamina usage, but when your current normal content requires such a high level of stamina burn, and by the way, still not getting that stam paid off, you're not getting rewarded for burning that stamina. I don't know.
Yeah. You're not getting your return per se.
There you go. Thank you. You're not getting your ROI. Your rate of return is dog poop. I'll leave it at that. I don't know, guys. That's literally all I have on this system. I also wish that they can put skill priority function on auto dispatch, like how Guild War works. I mean, that's something. Am I the only one who does not dispatch TM gears to fill Ruby Flask? I mean that's one way to do it too. There's repo for oh wait, repository. What's repository again? Isn't that the death content in chapter 6?
Yeah, it's like Golden Lizard.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of sarcasm right there. Because I think Repositorium was like a whole popular thing for a month and then it died.
Yeah, you know what? I will say, I forgot about Repositorium the whole time I farmed Red Ether, because funny enough, they also burnt all our stamina with the Red Ether event.
Yup, I did the same exact thing, Trilla. I really did.
And then I did 175,000 stamina on the Galgoria 4 raid, and actually got 2 random UT tickets from the Golden Lizard. I was pleasantly surprised
Very
that it could actually drop those.
Very
But
good.
I also did not use the gold bars for like half a year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to show you my inventory because I think Earl might end up slapping me.
I can only imagine, Flynn.
I get bullied by Earl anytime I open up my inventory, so now I'm scared to open my inventory. I have to do it off stream, I'm sorry.
I think I did read in chat. I did see that Sparks mentioned the repositorium is
It's good for new players. I read that,
Yeah.
and you know what? I think that's actually pretty okay. I'm not gonna comment too much on that. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Buff repo, drop TM gear.
What if they buff repo to? I mean, if that's the case, I'm ready, but I'm still like opening my inventory to show you. All right. Well, then to get ready to wrap it up, future direction of the game, Earl. Where do you see this going in the next few months?
They got to tread lightly in my mind. I mean, they've already said flat out 2020 is going to be the make or break for King's Raid.
Yeah. Are we on the break side or are we on the make side?
They were on in my opinion, they were on a pretty decent track. You know, listening to player feedback. This recent update, though, I mean, they it's definitely on sketchy terrain. The only thing I hope is that they do listen to players' feedback, like they have been, take into consideration, you know, some of the ideas people tossed up, perhaps implement it. And I pray to God that they don't release A3 anytime soon, because I don't think any of us are ready for that.
Well, Trauma Bite, how about yourself?
Yeah. It's weird because I'm not sure how they're gonna design content from now on, because I'm actually kind of scared if content is designed around like the base stats, because they're actually pretty huge. If you guys seen like a reclaim 5-star bracelet, it's like 45,000 PDF, by the way. Insane.
Suddenly give
But-
bosses a crap ton of pen.
Yeah.
Or
it's
ignore
like, oh,
defense.
man.
Then it's like, what's
What's-
the point of this?
I remember they did say they were planning on having competitive content in November, and I think that's when like even like the dolphins and the whales will start getting their first Techno Magic gear sets. So I wonder how hard that new competitive content is, especially with the release of TM gear. Is it bounced around that? Like in mind, I actually, you know, it's hard to tell at this point. But I really do hope that they do something about the raids currently to keep the interest of players. But because overall, this update, I still want to like praise Vespa for like how amazing the story was done, how amazing like introduction of Hilda to the story was done, and the raids themselves are fun. I just wish that the gear system was not so hectic.
The
But,
entire budget went into plot.
yeah, all the plot. Yeah, that animation. I know we didn't talk about it, but that animation that they did for Chapter 10 was insane. It kind of crashed a lot of people's phones, from what I heard. Not mine, but but the cutscenes on YouTube before the chapter even came out were amazing. Yeah, recommend everyone to watch that either like when they get to it in the story or like on YouTube.
Okay. Val, what about yourself? Future direction?
They just gotta be really careful with what they do now. Like, the Techno Magic gear, a lot of people were concerned about. I know I got a lot of messages saying, like, oh, what are they gonna do about this? You know, I've got a lot of people saying they might quit, things like that. So
Yeah,
they really
I
got to
know
be
that
careful with
feeling.
what they do. But I am hopeful that they will do something about this. Like, they have been listening a lot more recently. Like, the warrior change that they did, where everyone was like complaining how warriors didn't get like a bonus damage set or something, I think it was. They responded to that really quickly, and they changed that. So it is good that they are listening to us at least, but we'll see how long it takes for them to do something about this.
You ain't too wrong about that.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say is I'm not. I like to host these podcasts to actually be able to get community feedback. My intent and my goal is in no way to bash Vespa. If anything, you guys, I've been playing this game because I love King's Raid. To be honest, I love Vespa as a company. It's just sometimes implementation and the things that they plan and they put in the game just comes off as, did you test this? I don't know what portion of this Technomagic gear system that they tested to think that it was okay to release something with such high RNG and low obtain rate, acquire rate, whatever you want to call it. I do love Vespa. I love King's Raid. I play the game because I'm in love with the story. I'm in love with the heroes. But this has completely put me off because it is the only way to naturally progress. And I'm going to take one of Trillo's lines. Imagine if I wasn't sitting here and farming the gear I am trying to farm right now. Come 3 or 4 months down the line, I would not be able to compete in PvP because obviously you've power crept hero protection and hero suppression. And I definitely would not be able to compete in any PvE content because Manticores pretty much would have been completely outdated and outclassed. And one of the things that I'm really happy that they did end up doing was that they went back and they properly fixed the warrior side of things. Because if you guys remember, that thing right there, if there was the light switch, somebody flipped the light switch in my head to turn off because I was seeing black. I was like, you could not do this to warriors, especially because they have DPS potential. And we had just gotten DLK and he can be competitive in PvE, and then suddenly you release this brand new entire set that doesn't even let warriors compete in any PvE content, and my light switch just got flipped to the elf position. I was like, oh my god. Who am I gonna strangle right now? Well, I do think that does wrap it up. I really don't have too much to say besides my sign-off, so before I do my sign-off, do you guys have any final comments, questions, concerns, or any message that you guys would like to hopefully relay to Vespa if they're listening in?
Just hope that they take these podcasts and everyone's feedback into consideration henceforth, because we're on rocky road so far, in my opinion.
Trillo?
Nothing new from me, but I want to say to the story writers and the animation department, keep up the great work.
Glad to hear that. Val?
Not much from me. Just be careful what you do next, because the community's already kind of hating on you a lot. But yeah, I know you're trying your best out there, Vespa. Just do what you can.
Well, you guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope. What's that? What did
you got your first gear drop on stream.
Oh, did I was mentioned. I like how we all just got streamer privilege. Excuse me, princess. Well, I got guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And future podcasts, again, we'll throw them out as needed when new patches drop, when new content hits. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves, and I do look forward to potentially having more podcasts with you guys. It's just all in a matter of time.
Thanks again for having us, Flynn.
Thanks for having us, Flynn. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for joining me as well. And I'm going to go ahead and hop out of chat so that I can do my sign off and give my reminders, because we do have a stream tomorrow. So thank you guys. I hope to see you tomorrow bright and early, because we do have a regular scheduled stream. And I think with that said, I'm going to just go ahead and hop on out of chat.
Take care.
Take care.
See you tomorrow.
I see ya.
So, you guys kind of heard everything. We kind of went through the entire topic. We went through the entire motions. To you guys who stuck around from beginning to end, I hope you guys enjoyed today's discussion. I hope we kind of covered all the topics that we wanted to cover. I would like to remind everybody tomorrow is our final stream in August for the regularly scheduled streams, and we do have the Challenger Reel. So at the end of tomorrow's stream, we will obviously feature the Challenger Reel, and we'll probably look at maybe taking some new challengers for the month of September. But otherwise, other than that, it really is going to be a normal scheduled stream. Remember that we have a lot of events going on in my Discord, so if you have not joined my Discord, I threw the link into the chat box. We do have the Create a Hero Challenge that is coming up due very, very soon. And one of the cool announcements I want to make is I was actually invited to the Discord partner program because of all you guys' continuous and endless support. So I do plan that if we get the partner Discord, I will hold a huge raffle. So make sure that you join in, because I will ping everybody when the raffle goes live if we win this. Otherwise, where were you when Flynn got his first game drop in Gilga 4 in the 70-minute long stream? Well, guys, that is all I got. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Stick to my Discord to let you guys know when the next podcast is. We'll probably... I try to hold one per month, but obviously if there's not too much changes in King's Raid, it really is not worth holding one. Other than that, that does take care of everything. Thank you to all my guests. Thank you to all the listeners. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you guys. Nothing makes me happier than a simple follow, so if you haven't followed, just give a follow. Other than that, I will see you tomorrow bright and early, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Friday evening, and hope we didn't take up too much of your time. You guys have a good night.